I thought maybe what we could do is go around and do introductions again. I know there's a couple new people here, and there's especially some important new people from weighing in that we wanted to introduce you to. We'll do some introductions. I do have a very short agenda planned that I'll share once we get through introductions. But my name is Robin Shook. I'm the director of Weighing In at Children's Mercy. And Weighing is a program to align community efforts related to childhood obesity. We are the backbone organization of the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. This is the this is the Parks and Recreation, Physical Activity and Infrastructure Implementation Group. I have been kind of supporting this group for most of this year, but we're very excited because we've got a new member of the Weighing In team who we're going to transition to supporting this group over the next few months. So we'll let Katie introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Katie Amy. As Robin said, I will be helping to support this sector. Yeah, I'll guess a little bit about myself. So I'm currently a student at Kansas University Medical Center. I'm finishing up my master's in public health, which I will be done with in December. Very excited. I have a concentration in public health practice. For the last almost 4 years, I've worked on a large-scale physical activity and intervention called Move More, Get More. It focuses on middle school adolescents in school settings. But we've worked with multiple organizations such as the Jackson County Park and Rec. And yeah, just a little bit about me.
Yeah, we're ecstatic to have Katie on board. Weighing In has been involved with the program she worked for, Move More, Get More, for I guess it's been 3 years now. And so we've known Katie from there, and she's got a lot of great experiences. As she's, you know, at some point we'll probably have someone from that group give an overview of the entire project, because it was really unique and a great example of like a multi-sector partnership, because it involves schools, after-school programs. Parks and Recreation was a big part of that program as well. So very, very excited to have Katie on board. And as I said, we'll kind of transition support for this group over to her over the summer, probably over the next few meetings. So we'll go ahead and continue introductions. And Nicole, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Nicole Brown. I'm with Johnson County Department of Health and Environment. I work on chronic disease prevention. So we work on physical activity, tobacco use prevention. We have some arthritis programming that we do also, and kind of the whole gamut, really. Safe routes to school, placemaking, lots of vaping prevention work, cessation work with disparate populations, kind of the full gamut of chronic disease prevention stuff.
Very cool. Allison, do you want to go next? I'm just going to go across my screen here.
Sure. I'm Allison Smith. I'm with Johnson County Park and Recreation District. I'm the wellness coordinator. I do all things wellness and Parks and Rec and make a lot of connections with other folks. And yeah, wellness. Woohoo!
Yeah. Allison is great. If Katie, you've probably will run into Allison in several of the sector meetings as you kind of get yourself dipped into the KCPA plan. Renee, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Renee Nagel. I work for Marion Parks and Recreation. I do all things fitness, recreation, educational programming, and special events.
Awesome. Great. Veronica. I know Veronica's in and out today, so she may be out at the moment. Oh, there you go. You're muted.
Oops. Hi, everybody. Let's start over. My name is Veronica, and I'm an AmeriCorps Vista. I'm doing my year with Weighing In. I help support the community garden on campus, and I also help with other weighing in activities, including some sector support. It's nice to be here.
Great, thank you very much. Patrick, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick Truba. I'm from Mid-America Regional Council. I'm a transportation planner there, specifically in the active transportation program. And among other things, I produce bikeway maps, trails and bikeway maps. So I can hook you up with some of those if you need them. We've got plenty left.
Great, thanks for joining us, Patrick. Excited to finally meet you. I've heard a lot of great things about you from other people who have interacted with you and as you started your position. So how long have you been with MARC?
About 5 years now. That includes a couple intern years, but yeah, they counted it as 5 years. So.
Great, excellent. Congratulations on 5 years too.
Thank you.
You got a pin or something. That's what we get at Children's Mercy.
Oh, okay.
And last but not least, Shelly's driving, so Shelly may or may not be able to. Oh, she's done driving.
I'm done driving. I made it back to my office and did not get swept away in the flood that just happened right as I was pulling in. So it's raining here in just outside of Springfield, Missouri, just like it is up there in Kansas City. And I'm Shelly Summer. I manage the weighing in program at Children's Mercy, and I think, well, I know most of you. And Patrick, I think I've seen you at a couple of meetings I've been on. So welcome to this group. Thank you all for joining us.
Great, thanks. And I just want to say that the two co-leads for this group couldn't make it today. Jennifer Jude from Kansas City, Missouri Parks and Rec, and Laura Steele from Bike Walk KC. And also Teresa Carter from Bike Walk KC also has been attending recently, but Bike Walk KC has a big event going on today. So both of them could not make it. So so just a quick review of what we went over last time. That was on April 27th. There were a lot of new people, so we went over the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. Nicole talked a little bit about some of the funding that they have, the Safe Routes to School funding. There was other discussion around, we had someone from Fairway here, and they were talking about some of their concerns, and so we made some connections there as well. And then we also tried to identify some other people that might be good key people to invite to this group. And so I think a lot of those same themes we can kind of address in today's meeting. Let's see, I'm just going to share my screen just real quickly. Make sure I've got too many windows open. Make sure I'm looking at the right window. Okay. All right, are you seeing implementation groups? Everybody good? Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda was to just come back to this idea that as we move kind of into the next phase of this group, we're thinking about actual implementation projects. And there's a lot of freedom in terms of what types of things that we pursue. We are looking kind of for that sweet spot between activities that you and your organizations are already working on. So kind of aligning what you're currently doing to strategies that have been identified in the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan as effective evidence-based approaches to creating more safe and equitable opportunities to be physically active in parks and rec and infrastructure settings. And so that we're trying to kind of thread those two needles of what you guys are already doing and what the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan has identified in the past. for implementation. So we generally are thinking about it across these 4 implementation groups, and we don't have to dig too deep into the weeds right now. This is more just kind of background, setting the stage for what we do over the next few months. The first is around empowerment, engagement, and education. And that supports strategies 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13. And so, you know, that group broadly is interested in focused on inviting community participation to inform planning efforts on built environment improvements, building partnerships with other sectors. You know, we mentioned the schools partnership with the Move More, Get More project in Parks and Recreation. So that's a good partnership a good example of a partnership. Doing these partnerships to advocate for needs, which could be funding. I know last time we talked about staffing, hiring staffing needs, things like that, and everything in between. The second group would be kind of a higher level group in terms of socio-ecological model perspective. So focusing on policy, funding and policy, focus on funding and policies that integrate active design principles into land use, transportation, community, and development planning process with the prioritization on low-income communities, creating a seamless network of high-quality sidewalks, crosswalks, bikes facilities, greenways, trails, and transit, and provide individuals of all ages and abilities with safe opportunities for active transportation. So this is where we kind of, you know, when we think about a lot is safe routes to school initiatives and funding for safe routes to school policy implementation. Design, this one solely falls under the implementation perspective. So focus on incorporating active design principles into land use, transportation, community, and economic development. And the last group is programming, focused on developing, promoting, and increasing access to programming to support physical activity for all residents. And so you saw all the sectors listed there. And I don't expect you to know them by any means. These are all on our website. For those who haven't been to our website, if you go right on the strategy tab on kcphysicalactivityplan.org, you'll see here are the 3 strategies for the infrastructure sector and the 3 for parks and recreation. And oh yeah, here you go. This is a little bit better slide because it has the strategies and the implementation groups all overlaid together. And so what we're thinking about right now is exactly what these implementation groups might look like going forward. And how, you know, how do we want to, are there some low hanging fruit that we want to try to maybe start with, you know, natural alignment of things that are already happening? Are there things that you or your organization have been thinking about for years that you just haven't been able to bring to fruition that aligns with some of these things? There's a lot of room for input and engagement here. And I guess from Weighing In's perspective as kind of the backbone organization here, what we're trying to do is to create a setting for everyone involved in this group to kind of make these decisions. And so what we're thinking about is over the next several months in a combination of this meeting and in some other cross-sector meetings that we're staging later in the summer, how can we help this group kind of decide what the priorities should be? And just to say a little bit more on that, what we're trying to do is to have enable discussions within this group, and then also bring in other individuals, either from the region or nationally, who have done similar work, invite them to this group, have them talk about their work, and have this group ask them any type of questions about how they actually did what they did or accomplished what they were trying to accomplish. And so we've got some funding set aside to pay these people to join us for a meeting over the summer. And we would record it. We've got actually a video production company that's going to assist with the recording process. Then after that meeting happens, then we're going to actually bring all the sectors together in September for a summit. And we'll show highlights from that meeting that I was just talking about. Each sector is doing that. So we'll have all the sectors will be going through this exact same process. And then we're going to have at the summit opportunities for all the groups to get together and say, hey, we were just talking about, this cool program that, Move More, Get More, that Parks did with schools. We think we can maybe do that. That was done in KC-Mo. Maybe we can do that also in, Blue Valley School District or something like that. Schools, are you interested in something like this? How can we make this happen? Things like that. That's just an example that I just made up. But, and so, any thoughts on that? I'll pause and let people speak.
Hey, I have a question for Patrick. Have you seen I'm just looking at strategy number 8. Have you guys seen those trail counters that count cyclists and then pedestrians and have it like posted, the new ones?
They might even be our trail counters.
I found it on the internet. Someone posted it on good old Facebook about, oh my gosh, look at this awesome trail counter. I'm like, geeking out on it because it's so cool. I actually have a picture of it.
Is it on the Rock Island Trail?
It is in city of Rogers, Arkansas.
Oh, okay. So this is somewhere entirely different. Okay.
So it's the Walton Family Foundation is the one that funded it,
Mm.
but it's a digital one.
Mhm.
And I think that would be cool if we did get any funding or if there is any grants out there to put those out at some of the trails to help track that, which I'm sure you guys already have trail counters out.
Right. So I can speak to that. And I was kind of debating with myself how much I should speak to it on this meeting because there's just a lot going on. But we have a certain amount of trail counters at Mark. They are all slowly dying because they're all 10 years old. But Overland Park also has some trail counters and we kind of share data with them. Right now, the ones that we control are out on the Rock Island Trail. And we've been running our trail counters as sort of a lending library to different cities and or counties around the region. I was thinking about this because there is a recommendation in our regional bikeway plan to have a regional counting system. It would require a heck of a lot more counters than we have now. And we were really thinking of maybe going for that in this round of federal funding that we're programming right now. Small problem, we're not eligible for the funds or we're not an eligible sponsor for the funds, which is a bummer because there's an awful lot of funds right now. So yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about, but that's kind of what's going on with Mark and the trail counters.
Cool. Okay.
Who is eligible for something like that?
From that particular pot of money, that would probably be some governmental agency, a city or a county. I probably that. I mean, we figured out in the regulations that we were not eligible to run that, which is a bummer because we are maybe the one agency that would be best to run a regional program such as that.
Hey, Patrick,
Mhm.
could you email me more information about that?
Sure. Can you you just put your email in the chat? Sure.
'Cause I think that would be awesome.
Well, and I kind of wonder if you couldn't find someone else to write the application. It doesn't mean partners couldn't help coordinate, right?
Mhm. I mean, this is sort of a longer term thing. We can definitely talk about it more, but it's already sort of a longer term thing because we're past the deadline for this round of funding, and this round of funding was for 2025 and 2026, if I remember correctly. But I think it's a worthwhile project to pursue if we can figure out who can do it.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Because again, I don't know. Robin, can I share my screen really quick? Is that okay?
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Screen. Okay, do you guys see that?
Oh, wow, look at that.
Wow,
Right? Is that not legit?
that looks not cheap.
No. But that is something that and I don't think it was this city where they're at. I'm gonna have to go back through Facebook and try and find the picture to see where that was. But that is kind of what I was thinking would be kind of cool, because then it would show the public why we invest in our trails and how well used they are. And hopefully maybe get more people out. I don't know.
Hey,
But it would-
Allison,
Yeah.
did someone post that on your page? Is that how you saw it?
No, I think it was just in someone's Facebook story. Like they posted it as their status, like, OMG, look how cool this is.
Got it.
So, but they didn't post it on my page. I just saw it as I was, trolling Facebook, looking at birthdays and stuff. So,
So I see that it says cyclists this year, pedestrians. Does it then say pedestrians this year?
it does.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's super cool.
Yeah. And that's just bougie. That's fancy. I like it. So, that's kind of what I was looking at. So, but yeah, that seemed really exciting to get the words out about trails. And I know that our park police has trail or traffic counters into our parks. Patrick, do you guys get any of that information from us?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I will reach out to Cindy and Terry and see if that's something that we could share, because that could be data. And I know other parks in the Casey area are doing that as well too. But that might be interesting to try and collect that data to see what numbers were previously. We all know numbers are up, but that might help us check off one of our strategies.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, Allison. First of all, it's cool. Second of all, it aligns with some of these strategies. Third, it falls into that category that we have of broadly for the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan, which is to improve surveillance of physical activity and physical activity metrics within the region. So I pasted in the chat our report card. We are planning on doing that report card every 5 years, and that what we try to do is to aggregate all the local data that's available across all of those. I think there's 10 indicators. And so we're always working on how to improve that surveillance network. And it truly is a network where someone collects some bit of information over here, someone collects some bit of information over here, some over here. And what we're trying to do is try to bring it all together. And so that's something we're constantly working towards. And I think, Patrick, you probably have lots of great insights on that.
Yeah, well, the benefit of the regional counting program, if we could bring it to fruition, would be that you'd have, not that you would just have existing data that was collected, but that you could sort of estimate ridership in other places, because then we'd have enough data for it to be statistically valid. Like that was kind of the whole big vision of it.
Great. And I know, yeah, it's obviously there's lots of people who are interested. So in that, so as you think about, applications going forward, yeah, let us know how we can connect people together. So that was a great comment and kind of moving forward, an example of what implementation might look like. If this group thinks like things like data tracking and things, surveillance is important, a subgroup can be formed to really kind of be a little bit more active and intentional in moving that piece forward. Of course, we all want lots of different things, so it's about prioritizing what we want and what's feasible and things like that. Any other initial thoughts about implementation projects? I know there was some discussion last time, I think, about some programming. There was interest in programming and maybe trying to align programming or create new programming.
Could you go back and share your screen again, Robin? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Is it working?
So JCPRD is getting ready to kick off our summer camps, not next week, but the week after. And Renee, I'm sure you guys are getting ready to kick off yours as well too. I had some links for a lot of our summer camps, but I also had exciting news. I know I shared this with Shelly either last week or this week, I don't remember. But our Children's Services Department has gotten grant funding to where they can now help cover 25% of all enrollment fees for families who just fill out a simple form, which is huge. And then our scholarship program, we just got a whole new web redesign. So they've simplified our application for scholarships, and it's not just childcare scholarships, but we have scholarships for seniors and other people of other ages and for families. So that way.
Hey, Allison,
Yes.
who funds those other scholarships then?
The other scholarships are funded by the Johnson County Park and Recreation Foundation. So we have a full-time team, full-time staff, a team of full-time staff, words, who are dedicated towards the Johnson County Park and Recreation Foundation. And they get donors each year and sponsorships as well too, including some grant funds as well.
Got it. So all of those that you just mentioned, the funding comes from the foundation?
Yes,
Got it.
for the scholarships, for the
Okay.
Children's Services, 25% off. That is grant dollars from COVID stuff.
Got it.
So, and then the other exciting part is our children, like, they are just buying like they've got money to burn, which they do. They have to spend it by a certain amount of time. They've actually gotten additional equipment and supplies for program sites. So I don't know, I know Shelly saw these out at kickoff, but we had the giant Connect 4, which is super cool. We actually have enough. They purchased one for each campsite this summer, just to encourage kids to play games and then get up and move and chase all the pieces around. And then we're also bringing pool field trips back this summer as well. But just
Oh,
all
that's
the,
great.
yes, very exciting. So all of the equipment has really helped out. Just, and then the only thing we're short on is staff.
Of course. Who
Everyone's short
isn't?
on staff. We all need
Who
bodies,
isn't?
right? And I know I just talked to a dad right before this meeting. He's like, why can't my kid get enrolled? Why is he on the wait list? I'm like, we have a ratio we have to meet. And if I can get one more staff person, I can get 10 more kids enrolled.
Could ask him if he has like an older teenage kid that wants to work.
Oh, I have. I have. I've been recruiting for people to come work here. I actually just filled one of our full-time staff positions here at our building, thank goodness. And then also a part-time position and a sewing camp instructor. So
Oh,
Renee, I
fun.
have one. If you want, let me know and I'll share her information with you. She's good stuff.
That'd be great. I need like exercise instructors. I need a yoga instructor. I just need instructors across the board.
I just hired a girl, Evelyn Vila. She's actually a full-time engineer for Henderson Engineers, and she does corporate challenge as well.
Well, send her my way if she
Yeah.
wants to do some additional contract work.
Yes, yeah, she's fantastic. She's currently subbing right now. I don't have her doing any regular classes,
Okay.
but she's great. So
Yeah,
if-
I have a few dates in the fall that I need subs for, a couple Saturdays for a kettlebell class that we're doing. I even told them I'll switch it to a strength class. I just need a sub. I don't want to have to take it out of the book.
yeah, let me do an email introduction to you and Evelyn.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, Katie, if, Katie developed some great partnerships out in the community, delivering her recreation, after-school recreation programs. I don't know, Katie, if you have any people that might be able to fill some of those needs.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that. There's a school, well, and I don't know like how experienced you're looking for, but there's a school, it's Wellspring and Health. I can provide the link in just a second.
Okay.
We've worked with them and like having some of their students, because they need a certain amount of classes or hours. Like they need to teach a certain amount of courses, but
Okay.
those who graduate are looking for immediate placement right after, and they're awesome. And they're just training to be physical activity instructors. And then outside, there's like, I've mentioned Trilogy Sports a lot. They do a lot of contract work. And I'll provide the resources in just a second in the
Okay.
chat. So those are two off the top of my head.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does Trilogy Sports do? I've not heard of them.
So they, for Move More, Get More, they came into our schools and they led our sessions. So they're experienced in teaching different sports, as well as they cater to ensure like, sorry, I'm terrible at being put on the spot. I'm like an ideas background kind of person.
Just pretend Renee and I were talking about it. You're like, let me tell you about Trilogy Sports. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they do cater to athletes, but they've adapted, especially for our program, because our kids are, when I say ours, I'm not in it anymore. So Move More, Get More, those kids are not athletes. They're not, professional football players and stuff. So they've tailored it to ensure like, stretching and stuff is involved. They want to make sure there's no injuries, and they provide warm-ups, and then they go through different movements. So they focus a lot on physical literacy to teach these students the appropriate movements to play these specific sports. So they want them to be comfortable in a variety of settings and a variety of environments to do these different activities. That's kind of what they do. They're physical activity instructors who specialize in intramural sports mostly.
Got it.
And this isn't quite on what you guys were talking about, because I don't have anybody that needs a job. I wish I did. I'd send them your way. But we're trying to do this little pilot with Pawnee Elementary, and I think they might be a Y-Care site, but only because of their location. And the Central Resource Library has that little park area behind it now, and then Pawnee Elementary is not far from there. It's kind of supposed to be like a placemaking safe routes to parks type project that we're trying to work on. And so I know that's getting to be kind of like a big deal too, that might be another thing we might consider. And one thing I think might be great for our group is to try to recruit some people who work for cities. Like I know we've got some county people and we've got a Marion person, but like I'm thinking of someone like from Public Works or something with some of these cities, that maybe actually do some of the infrastructure stuff, depending on what kind of projects we're looking at. I know we're working with Olathe on something similar at one of their parks, and then some of them might be in Overland Park. So just, when we have more of a focus, I'm not sure they would be able to just attend all the time, but depending on where we settled, it might be great to get kind of an infrastructure person in the loop a little bit too, that maybe tailor it right too, if we had a certain kind of thing we were focusing on, if it was in their city or whatever. There might be some good ways to get resources out of that too.
Renee, would you have any of those contacts that you'd be able to reach out to and invite to the group?
Through Public Works?
Oh, Nicole, sorry.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
looking right at you, but then
Yeah,
I meant to
yeah,
ask Nicole that, but I'm looking at your face. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
All
okay.
good.
We do know some people, but I think that ask would be better if we knew more what we were doing. Does that make sense? Because they don't do projects in schools. They don't do, what I mean, but they build the trails. They help find the money for the trails and all that kind of stuff. So I think if we got a person that we were working on something that was in their catchment area, I think it'd be a pretty easy recruitment, because I know they love to have all this stuff we're talking about, like to prioritize where they put the stuff they're spending money on and all that. So I think as we flesh this out a little more, I can think of a couple people that might be great to invite that have been pretty good partners on this kind of stuff. But I don't know that they'd want to come to sit in if we weren't talking about their town more specifically, or something that they had hands on. So maybe we can kind of keep that in our back pocket if we focus in on a certain project somewhere, or we hear about a project that we want to
Yeah.
support.
I think that that's a great idea. And I don't know if you've, so you may remember Maggie Green. She's with Casey Moe Public Works, and she participated in the first year of the strategy development for the infrastructure section and sector. She hasn't been able to attend for probably a year just because she got a promotion and she's now got all these new responsibilities. So I've been trying to engage with her and try to get someone from her team to participate in this group. So that would kind of cover the Casey Moe piece of it. I'm the other person, Teresa Carter, who's with Bike Walk KC. She is now their trying to think of the title. It's like urban planner or urban design consultant. She has attended some of these in the past. She couldn't attend today. So she's not with the city, but she does work with communities a lot. Outside of those two, I know that maybe this is where, to your point, Nicole, is if we can kind of target a few things. I know there might be some MARC groups that meet that we could, pop in on there with like targeted, requests or invitations. And I know you guys know more about that than me, so.
The MARC Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee might be a good one. Yeah, we could talk about you being an item on that committee. Next meeting's in July.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe it's, even though we don't obviously have anything specific at this moment, maybe it's worth going back in front of that group again, just to say, hey, we're starting to work on these implementation projects and gather ideas. Can we engage with your group again? Nicole, do you attend that meeting?
Yeah.
You
yeah,
do?
I'm a member of that group.
Uh-huh.
And that probably is the best one. I mean, the active transportation planning, I think, is probably not as good of a fit.
Yeah, that's kind of more narrowly focused on projects for which federal funds have already been obligated. So.
Yeah. So, but a lot of staffers from, and different people kind of attend each time, but I feel like more faces are at least present now that we have kind of the virtual option too. I feel like, even if they aren't there all the time, a few more people come. So I think that's a great way to touch base with people that might have things going on that maybe they know something we'd want to jump on just as well, if we had a project, we'd want to invite them to.
And maybe this is kind of a good segue. We only have about 10 minutes left here. And we're thinking about, I'll talk just a little bit about what we're doing as a KC physical activity plan over the next few months. So August and September is Kansas City Physical Activity Month. We're declaring that. Even though it's 2 months, we're calling it August and September. And so, as I mentioned before, each sector is inviting either a regional or national level person who is doing similar work to join their meeting like this, give a presentation about what they've done for 45 minutes or so, and then adding another 45 minutes to an hour and a half for just Q&A. How did you do this? How did you get started? How did you get funding? All this stuff. And so we're asking each sector to identify speakers right now, so we can make the ask for either an August or September meeting. We are open to anyone that you guys can think of to help you decide or help make the decision. We have started a list and we'd like your input on that list. And of course, you can add anyone if you know someone very specific who you want to invite. So I'll share my screen again. Okay, so, and I think we can decide how we want to do this. We have the funding available to bring in both kind of like a very specific parks person and a very specific infrastructure person. I know for this group, we've kind of merged the two, but we have funds available to do two separate speakers. So I've broken down some people that we know from our past work. So in parks, there's, and tell me if like, as I open these links, you can't see them. Can you see Myron Floyd? Okay, so Myron Floyd, he is now very high up, so he may not be want to do this, but he is someone at NC State University. He is now the dean of their school, which is why I said he may not be interested in us. But he literally wrote the textbook on race, ethnicity, and leisure, perspective on research theory and practice. So he focused really on parks, recreation, access, and expanding opportunities for participation. Shelley and I have interacted with him from some training courses that we've done, and he's excellent. These next two people we have active collaborations with. So Gina Basseni and Andrew Kaczynski. Gina is at Kansas State University. Andy is from the University of South Carolina. And they both do, I won't even show their links because they're not very good links, I'll be honest with you. But they basically study the way that people use parks and park spaces to be more physically active, and how that fits into either like park prescriptions, a doctor prescribes you parks, or just like neighborhood parks just being as the number one source for just kind of your recreational physical activity within in a neighborhood. So they do similar work there. This one was also passed on to me by someone in our mass media sector. And this is the National Recreation and Parks Association has a program that's ongoing, and maybe someone knows about this more than I just learned about this. It's called a community wellness hub, and they have identified communities that they've supported to provide essential programs, services, and spaces to advance health equity, improve health outcomes, and enhance quality of life. So they very specifically, for example, have supported 15 communities focused on supporting food access, food security, and connecting people to social resources and providing evidence-based nutrition education. So basically, parks programs connecting with food access resources and other support services, social support services. Really novel program that is really kind of very similar to what we've been talking about with these cross-sector collaborations. So those are the parks people we've identified. Any thoughts on any of those individuals or individuals that you may know already?
I think those all sound great. I don't have another person to suggest.
So, Robin, just to confirm, you want them to speak about physical activity and how to get more involved, or studies that they've done, or the benefits of moving more?
Yeah, so all of these people have some of them are academics, but they all have very much a practice-based approach to parks and park programming, meaning how do we use park programming to create new opportunities to be active in their community. And so what we would ask them to do is be very specific and say, okay, tell us more about these programs that you have done in the communities that you've worked with. And they could say, oh, well, in Sumter County, South Carolina, which I happen to know a lot about, we worked with the communities to identify existing parks, make improvements to existing parks, do promotions around those parks, all with the aim of increasing number of people using those spaces. And we did all these things and we tracked all this stuff and we increased park participation by 25%. And then we could say, oh, that's super cool. How exactly did you get feedback from community members? How exactly did you get funding to do that? How exactly did you evaluate it? Things like that. And so that's really kind of what we're thinking about is we want the speaker to be really helpful and informative for what we're going to do for our implementation projects.
And so do you see this being for like a learning opportunity for like weighing in KCPAP members and then whoever else we can round up, basically?
Yeah, so and then that's the other piece is like, as we're moving into this implementation phase, we can say, hey, did you know so-and-so, do you know we've got this really cool speaker coming to, why don't you come join the meeting, hear what they have to say, and then we can get you involved in what we're doing going forward. Yeah.
And then are we thinking this is like a big like Learn-a-Palooza day event, or is it broken up over time, or?
Yeah, so we're gonna do, the original idea was to do like, each sector does a single 2-hour event. And then they all come together for like a 3-hour event on September 28th for the full Kansas City Physical Activity Plan Summit.
Okay.
I will say that as we've been planning it out, a couple of different sectors have said, hey, we like that speaker and that speaker. Can we get this one to come in August and this one to come in October? And it's really started to expand because they've said, we want to do that. And hey, maybe my organization can pay for the next person to come and we can have a bigger thing later on. And so we're going to start with this 2-hour thing, but it can grow into something bigger too.
Gotcha. Okay, just wanted to make sure I kind of understood the layout also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to really sit down and come up with like a diagram because I don't think we do a very good job explaining it. So these are the parks people. And if there's not a particularly strong feeling one way or another about any person, what we'll probably do is go back to the sector leads and just say, hey, there wasn't a strong consensus. They all seem great. Let's just maybe start inviting people and see who says yes and who can't do it.
And could you, I didn't see that pop up whenever you click on the web pages. Could you just email us those links or put them in the chat box?
Yeah, so we'll make sure that that they are in the meeting minutes that go out. I did just throw them in the chat as well. So you can have them. I know they're going to go away. And since we're at our time boundary, I won't go over the infrastructure people right now, but I will include them in the meeting minutes that we'll send out, and boom, they're in the chat as well. And again, none of these are designed to be like complete lists. So if you've got someone else that might be good, that'd be great. And I'm going to repaste some of these because I don't know that they're going through.
Well, I think it'll be great if we can invite people outside the group too, because I've got a couple of groups that I kind of work parallel to and interface with that I don't know that I think they could do supporting work. I'm not sure they would want to attend. They'd probably want me to like report back out to them kind of thing. But as far as attending our meetings and stuff, I think we've got a couple groups with our health department that do some of this kind of stuff too, you know, our community health network, and another group, it's a sexual violence prevention group, but it isn't so much focused on that so much as like placemaking and that sort of thing. So I think there's a lot of really great synergies that we could, you know, find indirect partners to support our work and use this as kind of a recruiting thing too.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want. Like weighing in, you know, we try to say this a lot, but we want to facilitate these partnerships and these connections. And so if there are already things going on in Mark or the ones you talked about, Nicole, we don't want to say, you know, hey, you guys should really come and join us and stop. We want everybody to get thinking about it together. And if it's in another place, that's fine. We just want to do what we can to facilitate those types of connections. So.
Yeah, sounds great.
Great. Okay, well, we're a minute over, so sorry about that. We're going to try to send out these meeting minutes in the form of that MailChimp newsletter with the recording in about the next week or so. We've got some people in and out of the office though, so give us a little patience. But our next meeting is scheduled for, I wrote this down. Wednesday, June 29th, noon to 1. We'll keep that date unless you know that there's some other big thing going on that everyone's going to be at instead of it. So sound good?
Yep.
Great. Thanks everybody for attending. Good to chat. Nicole, have a great weekend.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
All right.
Bye.